Okay guys, we're just gonna hop right on into this video because I have so many books to talk about in this wrap up that I just need to hop on in. First, Happy New Year, Happy 2024. It's my first video of 2024. I'm so excited. So I'm gonna start with my December wrap up, which is so many books, and I'm also gonna talk about a few books that I read in November that weren't in my November wrap up, but were in reading vlogs in Bookmas. So let's just get on into it. First is Season Schemings by Katie Bailey. This is a holiday romance, and I just love Katie Bailey's books. They're so good, closed door, but they're funny, they still have chemistry, and I just really love them. I gave this 4 stars, and I read it in my holiday romance reading vlog. So if you want to see all my thoughts, you can watch it there, but I did really enjoy this book. I just thought it was fun. I love her books, and this was no exception. Next, I read Betting on You by Lynn Painter. This is her YA release in 2023, God bless. And I did a whole reading vlog on this book, so you can go watch that. But overall, I love this book so much. I gave it 4.5 stars. It was just really fun, but there's also like heavier topics discussed in it, which I really enjoyed, but it's not like too heavy. But there is a good bit of cussing in this book, which I was kind of surprised by for it being YA, but overall, really, really loved it. And then I read A Risk Worth Taking by Jessica Joyce, which was literally so good. It's literally like a 70-page novella, and it was so good. I gave it 5 stars. It was perfect. Like, literally, you should go read it right now. Even though it's kind of like a holiday novella, you should still read it. It's so good. Like, it just felt so real. Like, I was literally with them, and I just love these characters so much. And it's so short. Like, how did she do that? I don't know. I genuinely don't know. I can't really tell you what it's about because it's a novella. Also, I didn't even tell you what these were about. Season Schemings is a hockey romance, marriage of convenience. This is like a workplace kind of rivals kind of situation. I don't know. Anyways, back to A Risk We're Taking. It's so good. Like, you should go read it literally right now. Well, after you finish this video, it's such a good book. Like, I loved it so much. Also, I highlighted so much of this book. The writing, the quotes, so good. I love Jessica Joyce's writing. Okay guys, buckle up. I read 17 books in December. I don't know how. Apparently all I did was read. Well, I have like way less work to do, therefore I had more time to read, and I also filmed reading vlogs. Anyway, so I read a lot of books in December. So buckle up. I'm trying to get through these quick. Okay, so first I read Holiday Romance by Catherine Walsh. I read this in my Holiday Romance reading vlog. If you want to hear my thoughts, I didn't love this one as much as Snowed In, which is the second book, but it's a holiday romance. It's fun. They like travel together, kind of like friends to lovers situation, but I was kind of disappointed by it. I was kind of bored. Needed more angst. So next I read You With a View by Jessica Joyce, which I was so excited to read after reading A Risk We're Taking because I loved her writing so much. So I was so excited to get to this book, and I had already bought it during my birthday, and it didn't hit like I was hoping. Like, I think A Risk Worth Taking I enjoyed way more than this one. I did enjoy it. It's basically like a road trip romance, and it's also rivals to lovers, which is very interesting. So you're just kind of following along the road trip. And it also has like family dynamics, grief, which I did really enjoy. I think I gave this 4 stars. I thought it was a really good book, but it just didn't hit like I was hoping. And I still enjoyed the writing because I just love Jessica Joyce's writing. And I'm excited for her new release that comes out in 2024. But I didn't love this as much as I thought. But it was still a good, cute romance if you want like rivals to lovers, road trip. There's a lot of quotes that I like tabbed. I also think it could have been my mood. I don't really know. It wasn't as good as I was hoping for me personally, but I did think it's a really good romance if you're looking for just a romance to read and you haven't seen this, because I feel like I haven't seen a ton about it on YouTube, but I've seen a lot of it on Instagram. Next, I read Never by Jessa Hastings, which, can we talk about this cover? It's so beautiful. Like, this book is like one of my favorites, like just looks wise of the year. It's just so beautiful. If you don't know, Jessa Hastings wrote Magnolia Parks, and so this is a new series that she's doing, and it's a Peter Pan retelling. So I didn't read Peter Pan, I didn't watch Peter Pan, I just asked my husband about it before going into this. I didn't read the book that you're supposed to read before this. But anyways, yeah, you're just following Daphne, who gets whisked off to Neverland by Peter Pan. And when she's there, she meets, what's his name? Jameson Hook, who is Captain Hook's son. And it's kind of like a love triangle situation, but it's also like, I don't want to say no plot just vibes, but kind of no plot just vibes. Like, you're just kind of hanging out in Neverland. And I personally really love this book. I love Jessa Hastings' writing. It is so good. There were so many quotes that I like tabbed because they were so good. Her writing is just insane. And I just felt like immersed in the story. Like, I thought it was just so fun, different than other books that I've read. And I had a great time reading this. I do think that the characters aren't very likable. Like, I liked Daphne at times, I like Jameson Hook at times, but they aren't like super likable. But if you've read Magnolia Parks, Jessa Hastings never claimed to write likable characters. She claimed to write real characters, which I love, and I just thought it was like so immersive and fun. I really enjoyed it. I gave it like 4.5 stars, and I'm so excited for her to continue the series because I think it's just so fun. Different than Magnolia Parks, but still with the writing that we love from Jessa Hastings. So I really enjoyed this. If you've only heard bad reviews about this book, I still think you should give it a chance because I really enjoyed it. And I thought it was just fun. Like I had a great time reading it. It did break my heart at times, but overall, loved it so much. Next, I read Sable Peak by Devney Perry. This is the last book in the Eden series, which makes me so sad because I love the Edens so much. I love the Eden series. And this one actually might be my favorite in the series. I loved it so much. It follows Mateo, who is the youngest brother, I'm pretty sure, and you don't really see him much in the other books because he lives in Alaska for a period of time, and you're following him, and then the girl is someone you meet in Crimson River, so I'm not gonna say who it is, but those are the two you follow. And I feel like this one was different than the other ones. I don't know, it was different than I was expecting. I didn't read the plot really going into it. I just knew who was following, and I really loved it. I could not put it down. I read it when Reagan was here, and I literally flew through it. I could not put this book down. It was so good. I gave it 4.75 stars. Loved it. Definitely a favorite in the Eden series. I feel like it wraps up the Eden series really well. And I just loved the romance in this. I love the way Mateo pursued the female main character. And I also love the female main character. I just really enjoyed this book, and I thought it was a great end to the series. So highly recommend the Edens if you haven't read it. The last book got traditionally published. And I think the rest of the series is getting traditionally published next year or this year, but this one is like, it just came out traditionally published, and I had to buy it because I loved this book. I love the series so much, and I was hoping that I would love it, and I did. Next is Just Another Love Song by Carrie Winfrey. Actually, I've been reading this for so long. Like I started it in October, November maybe, I don't remember. And then I kind of put it down, kind of soft DNF'd it basically because I was so bored. But in December I was like, no, I'm forcing myself to finish this book because I had like 150 pages left or less. I was like, I can do this, I can finish it. So I did not enjoy it. It did redeem itself. I did tab a little bit because I did like the writing. Like I thought it was easy and light, but also descriptive. Like you feel like you're there. But the story I felt was kind of boring, which is sad because I thought I was gonna love this book because it's childhood friends to lovers, second chance romance. So they like were together in high school, break up, don't see each other for years. He comes back to town and he's a country singer, and you just follow them, which sounds so good, but I don't know what it was. It just didn't hit, but it was very light and fluffy. So if you're looking for a light and fluffy read, I'd definitely recommend it if you like those things. I have seen people that really love this book, and that's why I picked it up, but it just didn't, like, I feel like there was no emotional, like, I didn't feel any emotional ties to these characters. I genuinely did not care, but I was forcing myself to finish this book. So I still recommend it because it is closed door and it's light and fluffy and a good time. So you might enjoy it more than I did, but anyways, let's move on. Then I read Letters to the Lost by Bridget Kemmerer. I love Bridget Kemmerer's books so much. She wrote Defy the Night, Defend the Dawn, and Destroy the Day that comes out this month. And she also writes YA emotional romances. So I read Call It What You Want in 2023, loved it, and really wanted to read her other YA romances. So I read Letters to the Lost, and this is a kind of like, they're high schoolers, but they're writing letters to each other. So if you like that kind of writing, you will really enjoy this. And also it does deal with grief and things like that, but I did really enjoy this. I feel like her books, her YA books, I fly through. I literally read these books so fast because they're like big font, pretty quick, YA, easy writing, that kind of thing, and I fly through them, but they're so good. They're also obviously no spice because they are YA, but they are like not like the fun like rom-com YA. They're very much emotional, and the characters are definitely going through hard things in these books, which I do really enjoy because I feel like instead of reading a YA book that's like light and fluffy, you're like learning something kind of, or like understanding someone else's perspective on something because of you not going through the same thing. Like they go through things maybe you haven't gone through, or maybe you have gone through something similar and you can relate to it. I feel like her books, her YA romances, tug at your heartstrings, and this one was no different. So I really enjoyed it. And I'm just gonna go ahead and talk about this one too because I did read a book in between, but I'm just gonna quickly talk about this one. Actually, I read a couple books in between, but this is like the second book in the series. So you meet this guy character in Letters to the Lost, so I thought I would go ahead and talk about this. It's More Than We Can Tell, also by Bridget Kemmerer. This is the male main character, like I said, you meet in Letters to the Lost, and you kind of learn a little bit about him in that book, but you're learning more about him obviously in his point of view. And then you meet Emma, who is like I forgot what it's called. She makes video games, like she's like, not like a program, what's it called? I don't know. Anyway, she does that, but they're also in high school. And there are trigger warnings in this. I mean, it is YA, so it's not super heavy, but I would check up trigger warnings in this one because the male main character has an abusive father. He's like not in that situation anymore, but you definitely get his point of view talking about those things or thinking about those things that happened to him. So anyways, I really enjoyed this one. I don't know what was my favorite I almost think More Than We Can Tell is my favorite, but out of all of her YA romances, I would say Call It What You Want is my favorite, and then probably More Than We Can Tell, and then Letters to the Lost. But I love these books so much. They do have new covers, but I got the old ones because I love these more than the new ones. But they're really, really good. I definitely recommend reading her YA romances if you want like a more of an emotional, but not too emotional because it is YA, no spice. And you're getting emotional depth with these books because you're really focusing on the emotion and not anything physical like adult romances. So, oh, also I meant to say in More Than We Can Tell, I loved the faith, religion, like kind of discussion that happens in this book because Rev, the male main character, he talks about it, and there was one thing that happened in Letters to the Lost pretty early on, which I loved. Rev doesn't walk around quoting Bible verses or anything usually, but his faith is rock solid. I once asked him how he can believe in a providential God when he barely survived living with his father. He looked at me and said, because I did survive. And I just thought that was so good. Like, anyways, so you get that peek on literally page 28 of Letters to the Lost. And so you get a little bit more of him talking about faith and religion and things like that in More Than We Can Tell, which I really, really enjoyed. So it's definitely not like a religious book, but he does talk about his faith a little bit. So really enjoyed that. Next, I read Behind the Net by Stephanie Archer, and I was really hoping that I would love this book because I love a hockey romance, but I felt like this book was so spicy. And if you know me, I don't mind spice. Like, I will read it. I've read the Chestnut Spring series. I've read Tessa Bailey. Like, if you can do a plot well, I can survive the spice. But this book, I feel like when something really sweet would happen, it would be ruined spice. They would like be having a complete conversation, like not doing anything, and would just talk about it. I'm like, or think about it. I'm like, no, just no. I think I skipped like 50 pages of this book just because of the spice. So I did not enjoy this book, and I'm very disappointed because I thought I would enjoy it. And there's a second book, and I will not be reading it because I just couldn't do it. I forced myself to finish this book, but it was like 400 pages. It was pretty long, and I got nothing out of it, which was sad because it's like romance to lovers, which I usually enjoy, and I thought I was gonna enjoy it because it's hockey, but no, didn't. Then I read Christmas in Quincy by Bethany Perry, which is a Christmas novella. I think it takes place like before any of the other Eden books, but I hadn't read it, and I remembered, oh, this is a Christmas novella, I should read it. And it was really cute, really enjoyed it, like a little over 100 pages, quick, easy read for the holidays. And I gave it 4 stars. Really, really cute. Then, at this point of the month, I hit my off-campus series binge. So, the off-campus series came out years and years ago, but it came out with new covers in November, and I was sucked in. The new covers got me, so I bought all of them, but I didn't read all of them in order, so I'm just gonna talk about these 3 first. So if you don't know, the off-campus series is about hockey players in college, and so you're following a different hockey player in each book. So the first one is The Deal, and it's about Garrett Graham, if you've heard about him. I had heard about Garrett Graham, and I've never read the off-campus series until December, but basically he is like a very popular hockey player, and he needs help studying basically, and he enlists Hannah to help him study for this like retest or whatever. The Naley effect, you know what I'm saying? Like Nathan and Haley, she tutors and they fall in love. It's giving that. This one was so good. I mean, I loved all of them. Next follows Logan. Well, actually his name's John Logan, but there's 2 Johns, John Logan, John Tucker, so we call him Logan. And he just randomly goes to this girl's room on accident because he thinks it's his friend's room, but it's really this girl's room. Her name is Grace, and you kind of follow their relationship. And then the score follows Dean, and he is the biggest player I've ever read about, the biggest player in this friend group, hockey players. He literally like never has a girlfriend, sleeps around, all the things, and then he gets with Allie, which is Hannah's best friend, and he falls in love with her, as we can expect, which was so good. Anyways, so I read these 3, and then I read some other books before. I'll get to those in a minute, but I love the series so, well, actually, I should just talk about them all while I'm here. So next is The Goal, which follows Tucker, and I feel like he's quieter. This one's kind of more mysterious because you don't get many of the other friends in this book until closer to the end. And then Sabrina, who you kind of see a little bit in the score, and so you're following their romance, and I did really enjoy this one. And then The Legacy is a book of novellas, so basically it takes place like 4 years later. It came out a few years later after The Goal, and you just have 4 novellas following all these couples. Anyways, okay, so now that I've told you all about them, I will tell you my favorites. So here they are. First of all, can we talk about, okay, bye, I can't pick them up. First of all, can we talk about how beautiful the new covers are with the sprayed edges? I had to have these, and I'm obsessed with them. So my favorites in the series are definitely The Deal and The Score. I love these so much. I feel like The Deal, like, I feel so nostalgic when I think about this one because so much changes after this book, because obviously Garrett Graham is the first one in the friend group to like get a girlfriend and fall in love, and then after that everyone else does. And so as you get through the series, you're getting to like graduation of college, so it kind of gets sad because they're growing up, you know. But then I love The Score because I loved Dean, and there's one moment in this book that literally I like need to reread. It lives written in my head because I can't stop thinking about it. It is so good. I love when a player falls in love. Like, I don't know what it is. It's just so good. So that's my favorites. I did love The Mistake. I haven't rated it. I don't even know what to rate it. But these two I gave 5 stars. The Mistake, probably close to 5 stars, 4.5, 4.75. The Goal I gave a 4.25 because I did enjoy it and I just love these characters, but it wasn't a favorite. And then The Legacy, I think I gave 4 stars. I just will read anything with these characters, so I did enjoy The Legacy, but I can see why people don't, but I still enjoyed it because I love these characters. So anyways, that is the Off-Campus series. I had so much fun reading these books. They literally like reminded me why I love to read, and they're like my comfort books. Like, I already want to reread them. They were just so good. They are spicy, but I feel like the plot is still so good, and I love the found family with these characters. It's so good. And I also just love a college setting. I feel like it's so fun and nostalgic. I didn't go to college. Well, I did, but I didn't like live in a dorm or do anything like that. So I think it's just fun to read about. And I also expected these books to be like fun, lighthearted, but there's also some deeper topics discussed in these books, which I really enjoyed as well. So they're not all like fun and fluffy. They have some deeper topics, which I enjoy in a romance because it makes the emotional connection deeper, you know what I mean? Also, maybe check trigger warnings for The Deal. Me going through these. The Mistake, I feel like the plot was unique and fun, but there were still deep elements. And then I love a man who grovels, and you get that in Mistake. And then Dean won me over. I was like, how is he gonna win me over? But he did. And he also reminds me of a character from a different series, but I cannot tell you who without ruining some of the books. So if you've read this, maybe DM me if you want to know. Also, Dean was so funny. Like, I cackled, laughed so much because he's hilarious. And just seeing him go throughout the book and like grow and like have character development, oh, so good. In The Goal, you see them like go off and graduate, and it just makes me so sad and nostalgic all at the same time. So anyways, comfort characters, comfort series, and I'm gonna shut up about them now because you're probably sick of me talking about them. Next, I read Ruthless Vows by Rebecca Ross, which came out in December. I was so excited about this. It's the second book and the last book after Divine Rivals. And this takes place, like, it starts right where Divine Rivals ends. And I did really enjoy this book. I gave it 4.5 stars, but I didn't love it as much as the first one. And I do think like this one is more plot heavy and like politics heavy, and the politics I just didn't really care about. So when I was reading it, I was like, I don't really care about this. I just want more romance. And the romance we got was so good. And I love Roman and Iris so much, but it just didn't hit like Divine Rivals did. But the writing is still so good in this book. I loved it. I binged it basically the entire day of release day, and I did really love it, but just not as much as Divine Rivals. But I did get a signed copy, which I am so excited about. My Books A Million had a signed copy, so we love that. I also found myself a little confused about like the gods plotline. And so that was kind of like what steered me away because I didn't care and I didn't understand it. So I wanted more romance, more of Roman and Iris, but I still really enjoyed it. I thought it was a good ending, and I just really love this duology. It's so good. So if you haven't read it, I highly recommend it. Next, I reread When in Rome by Sarah Adams. I was like, I just want a comfort book. I just want to reread this because I've been wanting to reread it for a few months and like annotate it, which is what I did, and I forgot how good this book was. I mean, it was a top 10 of 2022, but I still forgot how good this book was, and I loved it so much. I was giggling, kicking my feet, literally the entire time. It was so good. If you have not read this book, you should, and then you should read Practice Make Perfect after. And now I want to reread Practice Make Perfect again because I read it twice in 2023 just to see these characters again, but I also love Practice Makes Perfect so much. We all know this. Anyways, I annotated it. I had a great time. Like, I literally was just giddy, giggling, kicking my feet. I love these characters. This is a celebrity romance, and she meets this pie shop owner who is a little grumpy, and basically she's like burnout, wants a break, and she ends up going to Rome, Kentucky, where she meets a pie shop owner, Noah, and you just follow them, and it's so good. I love this book so much. It's so cute. It's just like so cozy and warm, and like, I don't even know, like pies, pancakes, it just like feels like everything cozy and warm, and it just reminds me of fall. Anyways, lastly, I finished or read this Devo in December, Come Let Us Adore Him by Paul David Tripp. This is a Advent devotional. I think I've done it like 3 years in a row, and I really enjoy it. I obviously read it every year, so I enjoy it enough to reread it, but I do think it kind of gets a little repetitive. But overall, I do think it's a really good devotional if you're looking one for the Advent December holiday season, and I really enjoyed it. So anyways, those are all the books that I read in December and some that I read in November. I'm so sorry for talking your ear off, but I hope you enjoyed seeing all the books I read this month or in December. Let me know what you read in December, and I'm very excited for all the books I'm gonna read in January. I just feel like January is gonna be a great reading month. I'm very excited. So anyways, thank you for watching, and I'll see you very soon for my next video. Bye.